GM everyone, or good evening. We are here today with Eli Reinhardt from Still Per Low. So this is a great session for you guys that are looking to take your hackathon project to the next level. So Eli will deep dive into the venture capital landscape today. He's going to explain what VCs look when evaluating hackathon projects. So first of all, thank you so much, Eli, for joining us. It's definitely great having you here.
Yeah,
And whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
absolutely. Thanks, Sophia. Appreciate the intro. Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to be here with everyone. I'm really passionate about hackathons. Love joining them. Love participating in them. I've been going to hackathons for years. This summer, I've gone probably like 3 dozen. I go to one almost every weekend. And so when I heard that Chainlink was hosting a big one with for the Constellation one, I was just beyond excited to get involved, and see how we could support. I love funding and sponsoring hackathons. I love focusing on early stage ideas. I love ideating and brainstorming with really talented and bright-minded builders that like to come up with new experiments and try out new tools and stuff. And so I think there's a lot of awesome opportunities to be experimenting with new technologies in crypto and AI and other areas to see what might be innovative or disruptive, right? And I really look for those types of ideas as an investor. I try to find these disruptive sort of both individuals and ideas, right? And I think that that's a unique sort of combination when you find someone that wants to do something new with with technology and really see where that might take them and see what the world might need or what the world might want. And a lot of times the world doesn't know until you try to build something. And so really the future, I would say, is really in the hands of you, of all you guys, right? The hackers, right? Because you're the ones that are really trying to build new things. You're really the ones that are bringing the future to light, bringing the future to reality. And so I really appreciate everything that everyone's doing and building. And so what I look for as a investor is really people that are passionate, really obsessed with what they're doing, what they're building, right? And uh, how they turn that obsession into their creation, into their baby, right? Into a living and breathing thing, right? That solves problems, right? I think a lot of the biggest problem I would say for technology builders, right, is people that try to build technology for technology's sake as opposed to building technology for the world or for real problems, that actually have, building something that has a solution to an existing problem, right, that people need. Because I really think that sets apart, a cool little tech project versus, a multinational, tech organization, right? And when you separate the men from the boys, right, you really see, the biggest companies in the world solve real problems. And so, I've gone to a lot of hackathons and I've seen a lot of cool tech ideas, which I think are great. I love advancing technology for technology's sake. But what I'm really passionate and obsessed about is, investing in building technology that solves real problems for people, right? And I think what we realized, and I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and so my whole life I've kind of been inundated with, technology and how that's changed, and I grew up with big fat monitors and TVs, right, to flat panel screens, and laptops getting smaller, thinner and thinner, and faster, and the world going mobile. I've seen a lot of the trends of technology sort of take shape in my life. I'm not that old. I'm 25, but I think what it's been the time I've been alive, it's been massively disruptive what technology has really done when the internet really came around in the early 90s, right? We've just gone through a radical transformation, right? This is the fastest accelerating movement in the history of humanity. And so what I really look for is those big trends, right? And I try to identify those and see where they're going, right? What investors really do is they try to predict the future in some ways, and they do that kind of like through, the way a scientist may also try to predict the future, or like an astronomer or someone, right? The way that constellations or star paths sort of move, right? We're trying to see where, not where the ball is right now, but where the future is going to be, right? What do we have today, but where are things going to be tomorrow? Are we going to still be using mobile devices at the end of the decade, right? Is AI going to take over, bigger, more and more parts of our lives? How is crypto going to disrupt, the world economy? And I really believe that it will in a lot of ways. And I think that we've already seen, some of those early sort of parts happening, the way that crypto is affecting society, actually, right? When you look at the numbers of, how many people own crypto in the US, how many people own crypto globally, right? And how that number is going to be accelerating. I really believe that crypto, Web3, this entire movement of digital assets, right, on chain, decentralized assets, are going to be the way that we bring the latter half of the world population onto the global economy. And that's just because I think that latter half is, the ones that are unbanked or underbanked or underserved from a financial services perspective. Also, from an identity, IDs, and just like robust infrastructure, for that we take for granted, I would say, as Americans. And so people in Southeast Asia, Africa, South America, they may, they don't have all the luxuries that we do today. And America is a robust, the world's, most developed financial infrastructure. And so what I really realized is that I actually think crypto will have a much bigger impact on those areas of the world, maybe more so than the U.S. itself. Not that crypto doesn't, isn't big in the U.S. In fact, I think we have some of the brightest minds and certainly the biggest investors in the world here. But what I've found is, in my time, I've been in crypto for the last 6 or 7 years, is that it is a machine. It is something that is really I- first of all, like there's a lot of kind of it's a conduit for a lot of things. Obviously, speculation is a rampant, I would say, use of crypto, and I think that's where crypto gets a bad stigma of just being this, giant, worldwide casino, right? We're not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that it isn't, right? Because I can liken it to the stock market, which I believe is also like that as well, right? And so if we compare those two, right? Um, I would say crypto is a more open financial market, right, than the stock market. You can launch a token network, right, and go live and get listed on exchanges, or even just on dexes, and be publicly traded, right, as a IPO company would, right? And I think that barrier, what the crypto does there, is really powerful, because what you've done is just streamlined and simplified, and also lowered the barriers to entry for launching a company or a movement, right? And I think what Web3 and decentralized organizations, right, or protocols are redefining is what an organization is. And I think people realize that these can be headless. They don't need to be centralized, right? And I think there's philosophically, right, or ideologically, I think that there's definitely there is certain advantages, pros and cons, for decentralization versus centralization, right? Um, I think the two biggest technologies in the world that I think are the most disruptive, right, I think are certainly crypto and AI. I think it's pretty obvious from a tech perspective that these are the most critical sort of areas of disruption, right, where we're seeing rapid innovation, right? Every day is different, right? You can't possibly stay on top of everything, right? It's constantly evolving. And I think that that's where we're going to see a bulk of the innovation. I made a prediction, right? Because my job is to predict where the future is going to be, right? And what companies are going to shape that future, because I have a thesis, right, of the world and how it works, and I have a belief of that thesis is how I see the future, and that future I sort of see as the destination of where we're going as humans, right, as humanity. And the companies I invest in are the sort of directions, I think, the ways that we're going to get there. And so the way I think about that is like, I think I have an idea of where the world is going to be. I have an idea of what that destination looks like. The question is, though, the unknown is the unknown. It's like we don't know which directions we're going to get there. I think there's multiple ways to get to that, destination, right? And the companies I bet on, I invest in, right, are the directions I think that are going to lead us to those paths, right? And so that's what influences, those beliefs are the things that influence my investment decisions, right? And so when I'm looking at companies, right, or ideas, projects, stuff that you guys are building right now, I really look for ideas that have the potential to really disrupt the current trend, the current way the world works, right? Solve a real critical problem, save time for an issue that people have today, right? Accelerate something, right, that wasn't previously possible, right? Save money or make it easier to make money, right? Like the world runs on value exchange, right? I think that's kind of the whole movement of what crypto is redefining what value is and how that's made, how that's exchanged, and how it's quantified, right? And really what it's doing, I mean, the beautiful thing about crypto is it's such an interdisciplinary field of economics, computer science, and and game theory, and really that like is such an interesting sort of intersection, right? Because I think technology runs the world, but I also think the world is based off of is run on incentives, and people say money rules the world, right? So technology and incentives really are the are the amalgamation, and that's what really crypto embodies, right? And so I think that's the perfect storm, right, coming together. And so if the world runs on incentives, right, programmable incentives is really what crypto is, and how I look at it. I look at it as, crypto is a blockchains, these are databases, right? It's a database. It's a way to, record and store data, right? An append only ledger, right? Immutable, right? Query consistent, you know, uh, not it's tamper proof, right? It's hard to hack, right? At least the ones that aren't DeFi protocols, right? With non-audited, so very uh, non-audited smart contracts. So, hey, Keenan, how's it going, man?
Hey, Eli. Yeah, no, great to see you here. And not to cut off your discussion. I want to ask you kind of what about your projects and your bounties that you have with Steel Perlo, and what really excites you about what you're looking for?
So I sponsored 3 prizes, okay, and I made them both specific, but also tried to make them open ended. Okay, so I didn't want to dampen creativity, but I also have very specific, as an investor, I have very specific ideas and ways that I think things could work, or I think are very have high potential. Right. The first prize, I described something that I think that social media has taken the world by storm. I think TikTok is one of those, one of those areas, these things that are just like taken over, right? This algorithm is so addictive and viral. And so I read this tweet that I think I put it in the prize. I think I did, at least. If I didn't, it was essentially said someone is going to make $100 million building a TikTok shop in the next year. And there's like the guy is it's gonna be like some 24-year-old kid that just launched this thing. And so I thought, wow, that's wildly disruptive. Why don't we try to build something like that? Why don't we give it a shot? Put something out there and see how if someone would be interested to build something like that. Like that was an idea I was having. What I said in the prize was, I would like someone to give it a shot. I'm not requiring that as the build that you don't have to build that. But what I what I will prioritize is something that is of that caliber of an idea that's fleshed out as a business model, because the real difference that I did look for between um, uh, projects and ideas is ones that have real business models and real potential, not just technology itself, not just a cool tool, something that can actually stand on its own 2 feet, make revenue, and actually, be profitable. And so that's why for the first prize, that was sort of my idea, to kind of throw that out there. Now, if someone comes up with something better, something different, or something that improves on that idea, I will certainly, favor that, right? And so it doesn't have to be that exactly, but if it does, that would be great. And so that's the first prize. The other two, so the second one, I did another hackathon actually a couple weeks ago, about a month ago. It was UC Berkeley's Cal Hacks. Actually, I saw a really cool project that I funded. Actually, it was a crypto forecasting tool. Essentially, does some fancy math predictions, but takes in data from like a crypto exchange API. I think it was Binance, and essentially you can input a token, and then it'll make a look at the price and then make a prediction on the future price movement. I think that's really interesting. I also think there's a really good way to incorporate AI into that. I think what I've done is, I'm really, really passionate about crypto, and the intersection of crypto and AI. To go back to the first prize, actually, that was a sort of a generative sort of advertising TikTok shop that would use generative advertising to create TikTok shop products that you would then use. Like, so the generative content has really been taking over, and so I wanted people to use generative content to produce a character, someone that or something that represents and promotes a product, right, on a TikTok shop. So that's the first prize. The second prize for the crypto forecasting tool. I'm really interested in. I mean, the whole game of the crypto market, everyone's always predicting price.
Yeah.
Everyone's always like, what is Bitcoin? Is it going to hit 38K today? I think it did. Where's it going to go this year? Where's it going to go in 2 years? Right? Everything about that is always, first of all, an unknown. But also remember, my job as a venture investor is predicting things, right? Where the future is going to be. So being able to use technology to predict the price of an asset, I mean, that's what we call alpha, right? And so that has immense value. And I think, with technology today, right, things like AI, it's actually really possible to do that accurately, right? Or at least more accurate than, let's say, average people can, right? Obviously, there's a subclass, a minority of, very talented traders, right, that have this unique intuition about the market. And I think those are people that are very plugged in and in tuned with how the market, moves, and how it operates, right? The intricacies of it, right? But also the psychology of the people behind it pushing the buttons, right? And so I think that this same as prize number one, I'm not making this a required, the required project, but it is something that I would like to see, or something of that caliber, right? That predicts the price of an asset, right? Is able to do that. Maybe a basket of assets, that would be great, because I would like this to be a way for the future of portfolio management. Automated portfolio management can be done, right, in this way, where you take a basket of tokens, right, and you predict their future their future prices, right? And depending if those are, bullish or bearish, predictions, you can make trades based off of, I also added that, I would want there to be an automation component to the trading that could trade based off of those predictions, right? Make those trades, right? And so, I mean, I see the future of portfolio financial asset management certainly going, especially for crypto asset management, going in the automated direction. I think this year has been defined by automation, right? LLMs have sort of taken over the kind of the scene with that, right? GPT chat and GPT stuff. But I think crypto is the perfect place to really test this out, just because of how unique, let's say, Chainlink itself, right, has great tools like functions, right, to be able to take in data from Web2 sources and put that in, and then use that data to make those predictions, right? And so I think that's a really, really powerful idea if done correctly and done at scale. So I would love to see something like that. Doesn't have to be exactly that. If you improve on that or come up with a different idea that maybe is similar or could be even very different, but something of that caliber, right? Because I think that is a very lucrative opportunity, very powerful, and I think disruptive. So would love to see something of that on that level.
Yeah, definitely lucrative. And if I could have an LLM or a chat GPT that can just code these ideas that you just spit out, then
that would be,
I don't think we'd be on the stream right now.
We'd be bacon, we'd be straight in the machine. So I think that's where things are going, right? I mean, all this, I think all these Telegram bots are really taking off too, the Unibots and ones like that, right, as well. I mean, I think by the next year, I would even venture to say next year or two, we're gonna automated portfolio or wallets, right, are going to be so common, right? I think that's going to be the dominant way that people, everyday people and most people, either trade or just manage their finances and portfolios, right? I mean, a wallet. I think what crypto has done to portfolio and financial management is brought the wallet to become your portfolio, or the wallet is your portfolio now. And how did I get that? That thing went on my screen.
That little pop-up that we have in here.
How does that happen? That's the only one.
So I'm able to on the back end here, to make so we have a few questions too, but definitely a few moons ahead. And so
ahead. Break altitude. They don't think it's coming too soon, or what?
The LLMs, I think with the AI, and I think like what could help is because me and you have been talking about this of how to break this down into more of just like, all right, what can I do for a hackathon? What is a simple idea of what we're trying to be, all these great ideas, and like what could be a minimum viable product? And even just to start there, an LLM, maybe Eli, do you want to maybe just share for anyone that will listen later or on right now of kind of your quick definition of what an LLM is and what that?
Oh gosh, I mean, I unless you really have not been paying attention, look, a large language model is like it's an AI model that you can talk to. Okay, it's a chatbot. Okay, so you can interact with it. You can ask it questions. I think people are pretty familiar with that. I think it's definitely this has been the year of the LLM for crypto. What is the year been for crypto? What is it in the year of what? Because I don't know. NFTs was 21, right? ICOs were 17. Like what is this year? What is 23 for crypto? I think a lot of people I've been talking to have been trying to ask what is the trend this year, right?
A lot of real world assets,
RWAs, also the staking derivatives too. I think those ones have been big as well. So I think I think 2018 we had this initial notion of what do we call it, security tokens, and those things never really took off. They're like, oh, STOs are going to be the new ICOs, and that never happened. But I think we're finally coming into the idea of STOs was like it was kind of the concept of RWAs now, right? Tokenizing real world assets, right? Securitizing them and then launching them. I think what people realize is it's there's already a very manual way of doing it, an analog Web2 way that not so differentiated from sticking it on a ledger, but I think there's a couple of companies that are still doing that. I think RWAs are definitely going to be something. I think that there's so much value in this world that is doesn't have it's not readily tradable. It's illiquid, or it's just not like real estate, very illiquid asset, right? There's other things like that.
There's a lot of weeds that goes into all these different legal. And I guess like in just a segue from that and on the kind of the same basis, within your perspective and still Perlo's perspective, why smart contracts? Why an Oracle? Why is this needed? Because you can create a TikTok shop, just without a blockchain or without having to verify where that data came from. But where's that come into the play of your mindset and why it is important?
Yeah, and look, I know TikTok's been experimenting with crypto. I know they did some NFTs and stuff. Look, when I see people doing stickers and stuff that cost money, I'm like, that's an NFT, right? You can call it a different word, but that's really what it is. I think the lines have been kind of blurred, between digital assets. I look, crypto is a digital asset, right? Whether it's Web 2 or on blockchain. I think the fact is, though, that the Web 3 ones, okay, this is big. Blockchain interoperability. Or there is being able to use an API to do functions all kind of go hand in hand, but the potential is endless now. Yes, agreed. Darby's. The potential is definitely very big. I think that because like the reason why I think it's better is because first of all, like yeah, you could just use like I forget how TikTok does theirs. I mean, it's like a Stripe checkout or something or whatever. But like there's there's a myriad of different ways to utilize DeFi or assets, right? I think that there's better incentives, right? I think what crypto does better than Web 2 is has better incentive alignment, better programmable incentives. That's a little vague for crypto, like for TikTok shops. It's like I think there's better ways. I think that a lot of things like NFTs and other things like that are going to become the future of promotional tools and coupons and stuff. TikTok is spending a lot of money right now promoting their e-commerce shopping experience, and so they have a lot of live streamers doing live e-commerce, live commerce. And I think that's also something really big in like Southeast Asia, kind of Asia as well. Like, not as big as the US, but, it's growing. And so I think that the future of, things like NFTs, really serve very well as promotional tools, right? As coupons or discounts or, lotteries, raffles. I think that all those stuff, like anything that's like, you ever go to the you get the mail and you get all those like discounts and coupon books or things like all that spam mail you get, right? Or all these discounts you see online and stuff, right? All these promo codes and things. I think that's all very, very I think it's perfect for crypto to take over because you have a global ledger, right? You can have smart contracts. I think they're ideal for this stuff, right? I think that's like a really, really slept on sort of area that I think is going to in the next few years will be absolutely massive. Oracles are obviously critical for that because you need to bring real world data onto these to influence the smart contracts, right? And change those conditions. And so obviously Chainlink is the leader in that, and functions are a great conduit to bridge that gap, right? Any API from the Web 2 world right now can be brought on chain, right? Any data source, right? I think that's pretty sick. And so once we have that, right, that bridge, right, of Web 2 to Web 3 data, right, exchange now, we're going to have the world become more and more financialized, right? Biology calls it the DeFi matrix, right? You can call it something else, but eventually we're going to have so much Web 2 data coming in about the world, understanding its value and its quantifying its value, right? All the different numbers and things that are changing, right, constantly. Like I think what is going to happen is everything from attention on down, time itself, right, is going to become financialized. It's going to become a currency. Attention is a currency, right? There's no debate, right? Your eyeballs are, right? That's how trillion-dollar empires are built from, Google to Facebook because of advertising. And so, the reason why I did prize number one is because I think generative advertising, right, interactive content like that is going to really take over, right? And if you already look at how Google has been built, right? Google is a trillion-dollar empire that has been built on really one core piece of one core product, which is ads, right? Serving ads, AdWords, right? That DoubleClick, that is the most valuable software product of all time, right? It is produced
Change the world.
in a literal money printer, right? And so I actually think that crypto Web3 is like a perfect tool to bridge that sort of the Web 2 experience of advertising. I think is really bad. And I think there's a lot of ways to disrupt it with crypto because an ad is an incentive, right? It's an incentive for you to buy something. It's essentially called commerce intention, right? And that's what these search engines, what these ads try to do is they try to augment commerce intention, right? Of a person, right? And if I can, so it's all psychology, right? It's how do I convince you to do something, right? And so Crypto though, right? Like there's very little incentive for me to click on these ads itself, right? And so like ideas I've had this is another idea I would fund actually. So if you're working on this, I would definitely want to check it out and or look into funding it maybe. But like funding or doing crypto ads, like interactive ads, generative ads that can be creating like a crypto sort of ad auction marketplace, right? Same way that Google has theirs, and there's a lot of other DSPs, demand side exchanges that serve advertisements to publishers, right? And so they connect that market. Really, if you want to know the biggest exchange in the world, right? It's not Binance; it's actually selling advertisements. Actually, Google's actually the biggest exchange, right? But it's advertisements, right? And so, really, I think of this as like it's like the world's like biggest thermodynamic model, right? It's like literally humanity's influence on everyone, right? Everyone's trying to like get you to click on this, to go this way, to spend your money here, right? Like when you think about it, look guys, we're just looking at a bunch of dots and pictures as little icons on a screen right now, right? That's where the bulk of the world has really gone towards, right? But being able to influence human behavior on that and to do something else, right? Crypto is the best thing in the world at influencing and incentivizing human behavior to do something over something else, right? And I think that what crypto has done better than anything else is create those programmable incentives. And so I think you're going to be much better. Crypto is going to do a much better job at programming, advertisements that can really incentivize human behavior much better. Why? Because we have airdrops right now. We have other, DeFi incentives, right? Yield farming, things like that. There's a myriad of different incentives to interact with, crypto protocols, right? And these, like the entire consensus is built on economic incentives, right? Economically rational actors, right? Staking value, right? Or proving work, right? And doing something, right? Honestly, because they have a financial interest in mind, right? I think the way, like, if someone can create an incentive sort of, gamification of incentives for clicking on ads and having an account system that has like a global account on, let's say your browser or something that can click on ads, that makes ads interactive and gives you an incentive to interact with them and gives you points that you can then use to buy other things, right? Or collect, similar to credit card points, and changes ads so that they are interactive and do want you to interact with them because you get points, similar to like an arcade game or something. That I guarantee you is going to be so big and disruptive. So if someone does that, that's another something I'm also very passionate about.
Yeah, and I think like all that, and I recommend everyone who's listening or joining in later and reviewing this definitely maybe slow this video down and really listen to what Eli's saying right now. Like it's no wonder that Eric Schmidt hearing all these ideas that come out of your mouth, Eli, and I think kind of to break down a few of the major points that you discussed. One is what we were talking about earlier with what are the main narratives that are happening right now within crypto, and one of them is social. And so this is one of a prize. It's one of the things that we discussed very early. It ties into your prizes. So if you're building a project, there's so many ways to add this social element. And if you add this now, this is what's going to be able to put you in a position to be a Google someday in the future, of be able to have the opportunity. I really doubt that when they were first starting that, we're going to create an ad marketplace.
No,
but that wasn't the very first idea. But then all of a sudden, that's what creates this, and what creates that going forward even more is the incentivizations that you're talking about, and that's what crypto be able to create. And I really saw this over the weekend here, at least in the United States. For anyone that's familiar, we have this thing Black Friday,
and so Cyber Monday.
In the Cyber Monday, yeah, well, it started Black Friday. There was no Cyber Monday.
No,
so think of that as web zero of these sort of incentivizations for consumers to go out and buy stuff. You had to go in person, and then kind of like the web 2 was this Cyber Monday, and now it's like, you don't have to. Let's just extend this time to incentivize you to keep buying goods. And now you go to this web 3. It's like, hey, how can we be able to incentivize this? Well, imagine in that web 0, web 1 world where you can now tokenize your spot in line for waiting for that TV. and you don't even have to be there.
100%. Pay for your spot in line. Absolutely. Look, anything that can be paid for, I think will be allowed to be paid for, right? Look, going to when you talk about social, right? Look, I agree. Like, friend tech has definitely dominated the narrative recently, right? And I actually told this to Eric 2 years ago. I said, the future of social networks and these types of companies are going to be, you're going to get paid to use them. And I think that's one thing I forgot to add from the ads conversation we were just having is, right now you don't get paid to watch ads. You can do if you have Brave. I think they're the first, kind of one of the first ones to introduce that, right? But the future of these social networks and experiences, digital experiences, are going to be cutting consumers into the value capture. I can't underline this enough.
Like
And say,
GTA, the new GTA, and the rumors that are coming out of like how
what
it's
they
gonna
say.
work. Well, very similar of like the value capture and either like going from like a time base, like how much time are you going to spend on playing the game, and then like they charge you that way, or like being able to like just tokenize and micronize.
Are you serious? Are they going to introduce microservices, micropayments and stuff, you think?
That's what I've read of like rumors, but I have no
Really?
like that's the stuff that is according to some of the prizes that you're looking for, and the stuff that Steel Perlo is, and the stuff that the hackers that are listening are able to build and should be thinking about to add on their projects in these last 2 weeks. That could be huge for the
I
future.
think Rockstar could absolutely dominate the metaverse. As soon like GTA 5 was the biggest thing in the making, and it was the biggest. I think it is still probably the biggest game ever of all time in some metric, right? It just out billions of dollars, right? Like GTA 6, and like I remember GTA 5 came out when I was like a sophomore in high school, right? Like GTA 6 is such a long time coming. I'm definitely gonna get it when it comes out, right? Like I will have a PlayStation just for that, right? I don't even have a PlayStation, I never use it, but like I will play it just for that, right? Like this, I fully imagine it's going to be like very immersive, right? I mean, the one thing about GTA. So here's the thing, unique speaking about games, right? And we'll segue from socials to games, and I think these are two very unique points, right? I think so. These are two of the biggest sort of areas in on the internet right now is social and gaming, and then also the bridge between them, the intersection. Gaming is such a unique. It really, it's a good simulation of the future and of the present as well of people, right? And I think what people get out of something like GTA, which is like a open world map that simulates, real life, right? Of course, adding on the aspect of like, hijacking cars and, shooting up banks and stuff and stores, but like that is like someone's like way to kind of, there's the negative aspects of that, but also like you have on the top right hand corner, you have your wallet and your bank account, like your number, right? Like that's how much money you have, right? And like there's virtual ways of going to go make money. You have to go do a heist to go get the score, big score, and go get, make a certain amount for that, right? Like it's simulating how people make money, right, in the real world. And
it's a metaverse before there's ever been this term for it in some sort of sense.
It would be so cool if they just like, if they introduce some real, like, kind of like you pay for the game, and then in the game you also spend a lot of time to acquire currency in the game so you can buy cars and houses and stuff in the game, but what if RWAs or something, start combining, like there's so many ways to like introduce. So what I get so excited about is introducing real value into games, right? I mean, that's what I do think there is good uses for NFTs and stuff for. I think that's one of the best use cases for NFTs is, coupons, discounts and stuff like that, loyalty programs, and then like gaming assets as well, right? Yeah. And so I think cryptos could be amazing for that. I mean, there's so many GameFi, Web3 gaming stuff right now.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about Chainlink functions too for everyone is, this is how you can be able to plug in and make what is this kind of fugazi fairy dust on these games, and this is the fake money currency that you have. Now you're able to turn that real, and some of the similar ideas that I think kind of motivated Vitalik creating Ethereum. And I have a question for you, Eli. I got one from the audience here. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? I have it myself, but
I haven't. No, I think my dad was a fan. I know some like super nerds into it. Like D&D is interesting. I think there's one thing I do know about D&D, and like it has been around since like the 70s, I think, at least,
yeah,
really early. Um, there's something I think you can. Most games are really strict about their IP and stuff, but I think what you can do with D&D is like you can own or something license or something the IP of the game that you create, because all D&D sort of games are different the way you set it up. And I think there's like, I forget, dungeon masters or whatever that like actually you can pay to set up a specific D&D game for you. And so D&D is pretty like, look, because of that and the cult following it has, like, and like the best thing you can do is build a cult following. And so D&D has definitely done that. I think, things that have gone on beyond that, like Magic the Gathering and other, really addictive, games, I've definitely fallen in that sort of vein of what D&D sort of like created. And so bringing D&D maybe on blockchain would be huge. I don't know, they might already be something like that, but I'm sure that could be wildly popular, or just like wildly addictive for a very obsessed minority group.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same similar concepts with like GTA and all the gaming and the social aspects that are able to bring in. And I think and correct me if I'm wrong from your perspective, but the working with Chainlink, it's the verifying of the data and to make sure that it's not just coming from
random source or
a random source that's just like filling it in later down the fact that you're able to now say you make your own functions and be able to plug it in later down the line. Now the whole concept is not the same, and you're losing. And so I think like the big thing, especially with like your prize number one that we're talking about with the TikTok store of just like a simple MVP, could be just AI generating dogs and like to getting dog treats, and you're able to verify that through a function.
Dogs and cats dominate the internet. So like people melt when they see puppies or kittens.
Dog treats so good. Yep.
I wouldn't put it past it. People, right? AI generated cute dog puppy photos or kitten photos. I mean, that's a good idea. Someone fun, Yeah, no, I see that for sure.
Cool. Well, yeah, no, I know we're wrapping up on time. If anyone has questions, definitely drop them in the chat right now. We got a few more moments. If not, please go into our Discord. We'll drop the links into all the channels. And if you have questions later on, drop them into the Steel Perlo Discord channel. And then me and Eli will be able to help facilitate and answer those. And otherwise, any final thoughts, Eli? Any last ideas that you want to share with everyone, and anything that's coming to mind?
I think obviously, as you guys know, so we'll talk about the third prize. That'll be the last thing. The third prize, what I've seen this year, and what I've already talked about, right? Obviously, this year AI sort of dominated the kind of conversation with the breakout of LLMs and stuff. What I think is really unique, right? And I've told you, like, I really believe that crypto and AI are the two most disruptive technologies, right? The cool thing about them as well, though, is I think they really create this yin yang effect, right? I think AI is inherently centralized and concentrated, right? I live here in San Francisco. I live literally a couple blocks from OpenAI, right? The number one AI company in the world, right? And I think that crypto is the antithesis of AI. Crypto is inherently decentralized. Crypto is distributed, right? It is not concentrated in any one place, right? And so I think that they really create this counterweight effect against each other, right? What we'll see is I think both of these technologies really, both strengthening but also protecting each other from themselves, right? Like I think if you look at Biden's recent executive order about AI, what he calls upon, and this was I was really, really excited to see, he called upon regulators and companies and groups to proliferate the advancement of privacy enhancing technologies. Now, when you look at their definition of privacy enhancing technologies, you will specifically see things that you guys might be probably pretty familiar with. Things like ZK, zero knowledge proofs, multi-party computation, fully homomorphic encryption, all the cool shit that defines crypto as in cryptography, which is really where cryptocurrencies came from, right? And something that I'm personally extremely passionate about. Something that also Chainlink Labs is, it's a leading researcher in as well. I think that those technologies are going to be massively disruptive, but also protect us, because I think that cryptography itself is something that is going to protect us from, omniscient algorithms or models like GPT-20 or whatever, right? That might be AGI level, might be sentient, as some people predict. And so what I really really see here is like crypto as like the last sort of stronghold we have against protecting ourselves and our data and our information. And so I'm a really big proponent and advocate for privacy enhancing technologies and their use. And so I think there's a lot of amazing things that you can use ZK for, right? And these other technologies like FHE and MPC. And so from a third prize, I see that people seeing like prompts taking off. Agents are a big topic of conversation, right? Which are these automated programs that facilitate, they do things, they automate tasks for you, right? And so I thought of look, I think OpenAI will come out with theirs, right, eventually, and they have GPTs, but that's they claim to not; those aren't agents. But I really think that in the near future, right, and this is why I'm funding it, right, because I want to see. I really think that there's going to be agent marketplaces, right, that will be paid by crypto, right, and so that's why I thought there's going to be a lot of ways to bake in incentives to use AI agents, right? Agents are just, think of them like automation tools, right? Okay, like I don't even have to use the word AI, right? But these are things that automate, and I think smart contracts are perfect. They literally already automate massive amounts of transactions, and so I think AI agents and smart contracts, right? Creating a marketplace for using those and baking in the incentives into the smart contracts are perfect things that could run things like AI agents. And so that's this area I'm super, super passionate about. And I really believe that, like those are the equivalents, right? Agents and smart contracts are the crypto and AI equivalents of each other. And I think that those are going to be some massively disruptive things that we're going to look back on and see that they are going to be ubiquitous, taking part in so much of our daily, every transaction on the internet. I really think is eventually going to be run by either a smart contract and an AI agent together. So I think that those are the perfect things where you go back to what I just described, the high level of AI and cryptography, right? And crypto. Yeah. That's kind of where they go. It's like AI, crypto, agents, and smart contracts, right? And so I think there's a beautiful intersection right between there that is going to be a massive, massive trend and disruptive, and see a lot of innovation there. So I think that's
an automated Google ad marketplace, essentially.
What's that?
It's like an automated Google ad marketplace.
It'd be so amazing. Like that. Yeah. We know it's going to happen, right? Like I think the thing about what like the predictions I try to come up with is like things that I think are very likely to happen just based off the way technology is moving. I don't know how exactly it's going to be built, but I have an idea of what that looks like, right? And so that's why I want to fund the future, right? That's why I'm funding these prizes. I want to see everyone here that's participating, right? Give it a shot and see what they can come up with, right? Because that's the only way we're going to, figure these things out, right? And bring the world, forward and closer to, prosperity or whatever, right? And so that's what I'll end with. But if anyone has any questions, I don't see too many questions in this chat, but if anyone else has anything, happy to say anything as I
just one final question for everyone. Hackathons are hard, and you've been through a bunch. We were talking, I think we participated in one of the similar ones back in when I was living in San Francisco a bunch of times ago. And any advice for hackers of just submitting their project and crossing that finish line, and maybe my idea is not good enough to submit, and that's not what they're looking for? Any advice of how do you push through and your idea is good enough? Yeah,
don't be afraid. Listen, like it doesn't matter if you get a prize or not, right? I think what I really value more than just like the MVP itself is the concept. And if you're able to convey that concept well enough, right, I think that's what's most important, right? And I think that's where, because I'm an idea guy, I like concepts. I like seeing that, right? I obviously like seeing them built and executed, right, and created. But if you're able to really bring forth if that idea gives you a good enough representation of that, it doesn't have to work perfectly. Like this whole point, guys, like these are proof of concepts. I mean, I can't even call them, an MVP, right? These are certainly very, these are rough drafts, guys. Like I understand that these are not, fully built out yet, right? Like you barely have a month to do this. So I understand the time constraints, right? And all those other things and all the other distractions you might have, right? And so submit it. I want to see what you like, what your thought process. I think what's more valuable is your thought process, right? What are you thinking about, right? What is possible, right? It's good to see what's possible to build in a month. I think that's really cool, but it's also really exciting to me to see what can be built in a year, and what is the future possibilities, right? And if it's good enough, let's talk. I like funding good ideas, right? And people and the founders behind them that have the the potential to take it, to the end zone, right? Take it to scalability, to scale it. So, don't hesitate, guys. Like this is, I think the good thing about this environment is it's open and and accepting, right? And so, accepting of new ideas, right? Whatever stage they're at. And so, that's how I'll, wrap this up, I guess. So
Love it. Yeah, no, that's great advice, and really appreciate yourself and Silperillo being involved, and really want to thank Sophia too, who started us off here, and,
Thanks,
and
Sophia.
everything you've done. Yeah, thank you, Sophia. Everyone who's joining in, really make sure it's still not too late to join. So if you have a friend who's been helping you, feel free to invite them to still sign up. Sophia, you made it. Okay. Happy to have you, and really enjoy everyone that was able to come. If you have questions, please go into the Discord, ask those, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. Otherwise, Eli, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you. Sophia, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
kid.
so much, both of you. This was amazing. It was such a natural conversation. I think definitely everybody enjoyed it. So thank you so much, Eli, for participating. And
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I hope everyone enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out to us on Discord. We'll be supporting you all the way through the end of the hackathon. So deadline is December 10th, 11:45 p.m. ET. So we're
I'll be
almost there.
I'm judging.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all there on the other side. So good luck, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye, everyone.